being psychic is a natural ability. Okay, if you have kids or you've been around kids or you remember being a kid yourself, you know that you were a little more in tune. You maybe saw through the truth of situations. You knew when someone liked you, when someone didn't, when mom or dad were lying to you, even. You had the ability to feel into things. And a lot of times, somewhere, or all the time, somewhere along the journey of life, we get imprinted with expectations, with traumas. Um, Sometimes traumas can make you a little more psychic because you kind of shut down your physical body or your connection to your physical body to rely more on spirit. And so what I find is a lot of people who have gone through tremendous amount of trauma, especially in early years, they tend to be very, very intuitive, but sometimes not in the most grounded way. But they learn to rely on spirit because they have to learn how to kind of feel the room, read between the lines because their survival depends on it. And then other times I see a lot of conditioned just disconnect from their intuitive abilities because of expectations, because of movies. Horror movies will definitely cause fear, and we have the ability to, because of free will, we have the ability to shut down our gifts, our abilities. We have that choice. We can open it up. We can be tuned into it if we're interested in it, or we can shut it down. We all have that choice. I have a grandma who is definitely a medium, very, very psychic, and she wants nothing to do with it. So she shut it down, and that's her choice. And we all have that ability. We all have that choice. Um, but even expectations such as, Disney movies, I'll say for me, I had to get over a lot of fear. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So everything in the psychic realm was evil, demonic, a big no no for me. So I had to get over a lot of fear. But then after the fear was, healed out of me, we'll say, I had this expectation that everything was going to be like a Disney fairy tale and things were going to just, boom, pop off like fireworks in front of me. And psychic abilities are subtle, subtle, like a whisper. So, my biggest tip would be, first off, write down what your intention is, because where intention goes, energy flows. It will flow behind it. So, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to be clairvoyant? Do you want to be able to see things, know things, feel things? Um, who would it affect if you were intuitive, if you were psychic? The more you can kind of allow your intention in this psychic realm to come alive, the more real and tangible you make it, the more the energy can flow behind it. So write that down. The second piece would be, after you write down your intention, notice what limiting beliefs you have. Notice what judgments you have. Notice what your conditioning, and even if you're not sure if it's, kind of alive within you or not, what did you grow up around thinking being psychic was supposed to be? What are your judgments around being psychic? Maybe you were in a religious background like I was. So I know what that column would be listing. But write down what the stories are that you were conditioned with, what the belief systems may be. Even if you're not sure of them, write them down and see what feels true to you. And the third piece that I would give you, and there are many different tips, but I'm just kind of putting these in a more simplistic way. The third piece would be to do the inner work, do the healing work. Look at the parts of you that maybe you don't want to look at. I know I had to look at parts of me that I didn't want to look at, but that's where the healing really lies. And the more you heal within yourself, the more you move into the version of you that essentially you came here to be. Because again, I'm going to go back to what I first said in the beginning of this live, is that being psychic is a natural ability before it was conditioned or scared out of you. So when you heal your traumas, your inner wounds, your limiting beliefs, you naturally come back online. You can almost look at it as all of those programs, all of those conditions, all of those fears, those expectations, all of the things that caused you to shut down your psychic abilities or limit them in some way. All of those things naturally come back online because that's who we are. Human beings are psychic. We have a voice box and we have this beautiful ability to speak and to express through voice, but really we feel shit. Right? We can feel the energy in a room. We can feel when someone's lying to us. All of the things that we feel and sense before our minds come in and start talking us in or out of things, the feeling, the unspoken knowings, we all have that. It's just that we learn to talk ourselves out of it. So I hope that this kind of makes sense. If you have a question, I see in the chat, again, this is my very first time doing this live. If you have any questions on tips or how you can, boost your own intuition, I welcome questions. I love questions. They really light me up. Otherwise, I will pull a collective card. So just asking for this card to be for the group that is currently on this live and for anyone that clicks on this live after. I feel so silly, but I'm sure there's a way to watch the live after it's done, I'm guessing. Silly because, again, I'm new to this space. Okay, so just asking for a collective message, something that can best help them tap into their psychic abilities, their natural psychic abilities. Oops. Okay, we got a flyer. Okay. Growth. I love when it aligns with what I'm feeling I need to share. Growth. And if you look at this card, it's so earthy, isn't it? You have kind of the autumn colors, the greens, the orange, the mustard yellows. So I'm going to say in line with healing and inner growth, because that's what I was just talking about. That's what Spirit wants you to know. The more that you grow your inner world, the more that you heal and you work on that inner gain, the more naturally psychic you will become. But I want to add to it grounding yourself. So depending on where you are in the world, I know right now in New York, I'm like an hour upstate from New York City. It is a beautiful spring day. So if you are in the type of climate where you can go outside and ground yourself, I want to make this very clear because this was a big misconception when I was first developing intuitively, or even on my spiritual journey. It's like we want to be in these upper realms and we're so excited for all the spiritual things. Let's soar as high as we can. Let's focus on all of the upper chakras. And while that's so much fun, believe it or not, the more grounded you are in the earth, the more grounded you are in your physical body and your connection to the earth, the higher you can actually reach. So let me say that again. If you want to be all up here in the spiritual world, the further grounded you are, the higher you can reach up in the spiritual realm. And then it's sustainable. I'm going to sound very judgmental, and I don't mean it to sound judgmental, but I've seen a lot of people in the psychic spaces that lose their physical health, that don't look so healthy. And you know what I mean. If you've been in those spaces before, or you've seen what I'm talking about, I'm saying it out of love for you because I don't want you to be there, just like I don't want to be there. And the more grounded we are in our physical bodies, in the earth, the more we take care of our physical health, it's like a plug, right? So you know how they have the three prongs in the plug in America anyway. When you go to Europe, it's different. But they have that third prong, that third little hole in the plug. That's the grounding port. So that if high voltage were to, hit the building like lightning, the plugs are grounded so it won't explode. And you can look at spirituality or psychic abilities, spirit really, as that high voltage because they're high frequency. At least those are the ones that you want to be communicating with, the high vibe ones, right? So when we're grounded, when we have that grounding support there, we can sustain that high voltage. Otherwise, we burn out or we become unhealthy or it's just not sustainable or we're way too airy-fairy. And I've been there, but I don't want to stay there and I don't want anyone else to stay there. It has to be grounded. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully you understand what I mean by that, and hopefully that's helpful. Let's take a look at the bottom of the deck because I always feel like that is the energy behind the card that flew out. So the card at the bottom of the deck is honoring your energy. And these are shamanic cards, so they're very naturey. But honoring your energy, what comes up for you? Do you feel like you want to explore a little bit more, maybe push your limits? Honor what comes up for you. You don't have to live by anyone else's expectations. And if you have friends that are really into this stuff and maybe you're comparing yourself to them or their development, we are all on our own individual paths. So honor where your energy is. Do your best to stay in your lane and do your best to stay as grounded as you can. Because again, the more grounded you are, the higher you can reach spiritually. So I am going to call it a day. And thank you so much to everyone that is on this live. Thanks for tuning in. This was my very first one, so I appreciate all the love and all the eyes here. And feel free to leave the questions if you do have any. I don't know if I'm missing them. I don't think so. Hopefully not. I just see people joining here. But I will be doing these as often as I can, hopefully coming up with a more regular schedule. I would love to do live readings in the future if you're interested in that. Share more tips on developing psychically. Maybe even do some mediumship readings here if that is what you guys are interested as well. If that's what you're interested in, excuse me. And I've been on the YouTube space for a while, but it seems like this is where spirit wants me to be. So I am going to listen. And if you're interested in meditations, I would check out my YouTube. It's the same name, Jenna Fontanez. Definitely that's going to be a little bonus tip there for developing is meditation. Again, without expectations of other people's meditations, but tuning into your own inner world. And we can talk more about that as well. So thank you so much.